So once again, we're going to listen to an album. I'm going into this completely blind. This is Fontaine DC with Romance, new album. The only thing I know about this band is I think they're from Dublin. That's, I think, the only piece of information I saw. So let's jump right in. 3, 2, 1, and go. Just going to scroll through their artist page a little bit during the opener. This sounds like industrial alternative. I guess that's the best description I have. Kind of a spooky sounding opener here. Sounds like the opener to like some sort of play, right? Am I crazy? Sounds almost like, yeah, the beginning to a musical or something. There's an interesting sound effect there. It almost sounded like somebody screaming. Yeah, that one. Okay. Looks like this one was a single. It's called Starburster. Don't know what to make so far just from the opener alone. Let's see where we're going with this. Again, I haven't heard any of the singles, so this is my first time hearing this too. Sounds like a continuation of the opener. I'll pull up the lyrics here. These lyrics are pretty wild. This almost sounds like a Beck song. I don't know, like a slightly more rock and roll version of a Beck song. Is that an inhale? Gross. I have no idea what the song's about, but it's a vibe. I want to keel, not kill, but keel. There's like a Red Hot Chili Peppers level of rhyme scheme going on here. There's something very moody about these first two tracks. Is this going to be kind of focused on like a warped view of romance? Is that what it's supposed to be? That was a cool transition. I love that. Whoa. I bet it's gonna end, like, abruptly. Yeah. Okay, alright, it's not bad so far. This one's called Here's the Thing. This is giving me influences from plenty of, like, punk rock and alternative rock and all sorts of groups, honestly, from, like, the 80s, maybe 90s. And even a bit of sound with, like, their guitars that sounds something like, I don't know, like a Clash, I don't know, Sex Pistols. I'm getting a lot of influence here. If there's anything I should know about this group, throw it in the comments, because I've never heard them before until now. And I'm mildly impressed. Now, I don't know, I'm just speculating, but just based on the lyrics and the sound here, I have a feeling this is moving towards not a happy, lovey-dovey romance, but like sort of the issues that come with being like tied to and dependent on people. Total guess. These fuzzy vocals are pretty interesting here. It kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, Viagra Boys, or like a more rock and roll version of Bleachers or something like that. So far I do enjoy this. I have a feeling that this is going to be like crafted for people that already listen to this genre of music. Because I don't know if there's much so far that would like sort of rope someone into this sort of like indie rock sound if they don't already listen to it. So far it's definitely creative. Definitely a bit experimental too. Especially with that vocal delivery. I don't know, there's just something about it that's quite unique. I can almost tell, like, where it's from pretty quickly. Like, not even including his vocals. This just sounds like something that would come out of the scene from Ireland or possibly the UK. This is one that I'm, imagining being like in the soundtrack of a Netflix romance drama. I don't know, there's something about it that is nuanced despite being so easy to access and bob your head to. This next one's called In the Modern World. Despite this more raw sound, the production is still pretty good, honestly. It's a little more emotional than I expected it was gonna be. As of now, we're only almost halfway through. So I'm sure there's gonna be like a lot of social commentary here, like in this song, about the state of things socially, emotionally. We'll probably mention mental health. We're probably talking about romance. Well, obviously. I think Starburster was still my favorite track so far. I just like the guitar presets and everything. I mean, it's traditional, but it sounds great with this type of stuff. Okay. It's getting a little repetitive now at this point. Again, I think the vocal delivery kind of has the peak of the creativity at this point. Okay, we're picking up the pace a little bit with this track. It's still kind of keeping that eerie vibe that's permeated through the whole record so far. My biggest critique so far is that, like, this all sounds like a continuation of the same track. They're all sort of unique in their own way, but at the same time they don't really do much to differentiate from one another. Put it that way. I think this is an easily accessible record. I think a lot of people can jump right into this and not really have any issues with it at all. Even though they're keeping their chord progressions straightforward, they are different. I liked that one. That's one of my favorites so far. There's just something about the whole thing that sort of rings uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Even though a lot of these songs do sound similar to one another, I think they're fusing a lot of sort of sub-alternative styles into one record, and I think it is pretty cohesive. It is very consistent in that way. Maybe almost too much, but I'm glad they sort of had a vision and stuck with it. I think you're going to get the most out of this band at a live show. This is a pretty cool section. I really liked that build-up. Almost like a slow march with the percussion. Very minimal, though. I'm really liking this track. I think this one shows that you really can do a lot with a little. Abrupt ending again. I loved that track. Honestly. I think that one and Bug are my favorites so far, along with Starburster. Like, don't get me wrong, the production is good and consistent. I wish it was like instrumentally diverse, more instrumentally diverse. It definitely has this like dreamy sound, which I got plenty of yesterday when I listened to that Magdalena Bay album. But that's synth pop, obviously, different genre completely. But there's something about this that sounds, yeah, ambient, dreamy. Okay, so they're really experimenting with the chord progressions and the melodies and the vocal delivery. They're not experimenting as much with the production and the instrumentation. You know what I mean? Like, there's parts of this record and elements that are really creative and really experimental, and other parts that sort of blend together at the same time. It's leaving me a little conflicted, but let's see how they finish this one off. So what does the title of this track mean? That's cool. I love that part. I guess the somber or melancholy nature of this record is becoming a little monotonous at this point. A little, right? But there's still plenty of elements that I can acknowledge sound great. I can't really see myself listening to this thing from front to back just because of the mood that it puts you in. You know what I mean? Like, by choice, there are few situations I would do that. But I would pick songs from this record that I do enjoy and listen to them on occasion. So this is what I'm talking about. This melody and chord progression and stuff like that, the riffs, they're creative, but they're repetitive to me. Next one's called Death Kink. I'm sort of picking up the tempo a little bit here. Anybody else getting Cure vibes? Like The Cure? They're definitely pulling from like the 80s, 90s influence of like the London music scene.
I caved in, my promise was cotton, amazing stars from the drink. I made a promise and I killed it.
Okay, that's different. Maybe it's just the fact that I grew up listening to a lot of music that this pulls from that sounds a little dry to me now. Here's the last track. Why is it so happy and hopeful? What happened? Okay. Serious vibes from like The Cure here. That is a catchy as hell guitar riff there. This is a bit of a curveball. None of the records sounded anything like this track. I mean, sonically it did. More just talking about like the tone did not. You know what I mean? Even though the chords sound definitely happier here, it feels like the lyrics still have an element of weirdness to them, sort of a somber nature. The experience of this album is so odd. Listening to front to back really set me up for like an ending that matched the tone of the rest of the record. It's just not happening here. Well, the lyrics and the songs here are definitely inspired. All right, that was Romance by Fontaines? DC? I don't even know. So I think I made my feelings for this one clear in the reaction, but I guess to sum it up, there are elements that were very creative and unique and inspired, and elements that sort of blended together. Production was good, but the instrumentation didn't really go anywhere. The lyrics and vocal delivery were very interesting, very creative, but the song structures usually didn't really go anywhere different other than maybe a couple tracks on here. It's so weird that all of the songs almost felt like a continuation of one another all the way up until the final track. Such a weird twist. You know, sometimes you watch a movie and there's conflicts in the movie, but also parts that are uplifting and lighthearted, and then there's a sad ending or a happy ending. This felt like watching a movie that was just sad the whole way through. Everything about the movie is like depressing, including the ending. Like the ending is depressing, and then when the credits roll, it's a happy song. That's the feeling I got with that track being the final track on the record. I guess this record made me curious enough to check out other stuff by this group, which I will do after filming this video. Even though sonically some of these tracks are very similar to one another, I think there's plenty to salvage on here. I liked the very beginning, the very middle, and that last track was pretty good. Between those points, maybe listening to a track one-off is fine, but listening as an album experience, definitely left me wanting a little more. I have a feeling if you take one of your favorite tracks from this album and show it to your friend and they don't like it, they're probably not gonna like any of the other songs on this record because they're all so similar, except for the last one. But you know, I can see that there is some creativity and some inspiration going on with this record. There's definitely some talent in the writing here, so I'll be checking out more songs from this group. So those are my thoughts, but I'd love to hear yours. Throw them in the comments and I will read everything, I promise. And with that said, I hope you all have a fantastic evening and stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye and see ya.